That is not the best way to start the most important race of the year. I'm looking a bit rough, me, to be fair. Matches how I feel. Anyway, aloha. Not particularly buzzing with this whole setup, but I desperately want to try and get an upload out. You've seen by the title and the thumbnail that this is my review of Erzberg, so I wanted to get this out before that became completely irrelevant. Obviously, most of you probably know I now have a bad shoulder. And now my phone's ringing. Motherfucker. I don't know if I'm allowed to steal from the live stream of Erzberg. Well, I suppose it's not really stealing, is it? But anyway, I've got all my footage and features from the live stream. And I just thought we can just watch it together. Actually doesn't sound that exciting now I've said it out loud. But anyway, we'll see what's going to happen. Just running you through the thoughts and feelings, what goes on at the Berg. Here we are then. Start line. They actually did a very good job of making sure everyone turns their engine off this year, which I was pretty impressed with. Usually it's very uncontrollable. Flag goes up. Let it begin. I've stole some of Johnny's GoPro as well. I hope he doesn't mind that, although I'm pretty sure... Oh, that was... We'll go back a sec. Because you obviously know that I didn't have a very good start, but this is actually the first error. If you watch, see, miss a gear, whee, and then everyone leaves us down the start straight. And then Manny going off to the left confused us, and then, wha-pow! Ah, God. I'm gonna have to watch it once more. That is not the best way to start the most important race of the year. And actually, there's no footage, obviously, because I guess no one could really locate us, but we're 6 minutes into the race, and I think I'm probably in, like, 10th by this point. I'd love to see a GoPro of the first 6 minutes. I was just fucking... Back on Johnny's footage. That's all we've stole of his GoPro. Although I'm pretty sure he isn't capable of filing a copyright claim, so it should be alright to use his footage. No. Matt decided he'd have a lie down. This river, fun fact, not that any of you care, my first year at Erzberg was 2016. And started on the second row because I messed up the second day of qualifying in the prologue. That's a story for another day. We actually went up that river and I passed so many people there. It was very useful. So now I think I'm in... It tells you there, 4th at this point. Actually, I remember this hill. Well, I didn't remember this hill. It confused us a bit, really. I wasn't expecting to go up there. Still didn't know who was leading or who was in front. I guessed it was Manny and Twiston, but then 20 minutes I'd caught up to them and had a eventful opening 20 minutes, put it that way. But was very grateful to arrive to Manny and Twiston and Machine. We're up to Machine now. It was pretty open this year, as you can see. Last few years before we've had to go over these rocks on the left, but I actually think it was better being open because it's still so early in the race. It's nice to just crack on. Yeah. Not much to report really. Just settled in behind Manny. I'm trying to think where we actually left Tristan because he's not entirely sure. Like I said, he does these early sections so well, Manny. Yeah, it's almost as good being behind him and following him because he knows it so well, and he's so efficient. Well, as you've seen really from the race, from when we got together, we pulled a pretty good gap, pretty fast. Where are we at now? We're heading down behind the Cuckoo's Nest. There was no TV point at Cuckoo's Nest this year, but I'll give credit to Manny, because he went... Cuckoo's Nest, if you don't know, it's like a... how do you describe it? It's like a snaky bit in a river, snaky bit in a wood, then goes up this really steep bit in the middle. This year they left it open so you could go around if you wanted to, and I took the easy way and went round, but Manny went straight up in front of us, and it was pretty fucking gangster. This section was new last year, and it's pretty difficult. It's kind of the first real hard bit of the track, but obviously we weren't allowed to walk the track this year either, so there was kind of no line. Nobody really knew where they were going. In fact, I actually go the wrong way in a minute. I overtake Manny here, and then I actually go the wrong way. I kind of head for last year's track, which is too far. You needed to turn a bit earlier, so he actually gets back past us. Pretty hard section, or Chris Stoney Party, it's called. Chris's Stoney Party. And that's a bit further on. I actually go the wrong way. It's actually mad that this is 45 minutes in. This actually feels really early on when you're riding. The first hour goes so fast. Literally, it's just like a sprint. It's like a motocross race, the first hour. Until I actually started stealing all these clips, I didn't realise how much they actually rely on the helicopter to cover this race. They'd be pretty fucked without it, to be fair. And then this is called Udo's Playground. Was another new section for last year. Very difficult last year and was again this year. It's where I passed Manny. I'm not really sure what he was doing here, because it wasn't particularly difficult downhill. It was actually, I would have said, harder the way he went, and the wrong direction. But anyway, I wasn't complaining, got in the lead. Although I don't know how useful it was being in the lead, because the next bit of this was super loose. I mean, I stayed in the lead and actually pulled a bit of a gap at the top of it, so I guess it was somewhat useful, but it was very loose. This bit though, like the 100 metres from now until the hard bit, was fucking shite. I'd actually pulled a decent gap on Manny at this point, and then I didn't realise this in the race. Manny decides he wants to go the wrong way. Very uncharacteristic navigational error there from Manuel. It's nice to see. I really enjoyed watching that, to be honest. There you go, you fucking idiot. To be fair, that is quite easily done for how the way that orange fence was marked. And then, yeah, it's a shame there's no camera point there, because it's actually really difficult, that bit. And obviously, it's good from the helicopter, but you don't see that much. It was just super loose. See how many rocks are moving. Pretty mad though that they had on the live stream from Bolts' GoPro. I thought rather futuristic. 1 hour 2 minutes in, we've had the service point by this point, and this is like along this road into Carl's Diner. I was literally like gasping, getting every bit of oxygen into my lungs possible, because I know what's coming for the best part of the next hour. This downhill, the top of that actually was really sketchy. Oh, I hadn't actually mentioned, I bent my front disc when I crashed at the start. So my front brake would work if I pumped it up, but if I needed to brake sharply, it was pretty much non-existent. So like the top of there was a bit shitty, and then I pumped it up. This hill was the same. For like the real long steep ones, it was fine. I could like hold pressure, and the wheel was like turning so slowly that it wasn't affecting it. But I come into the top of the first one in Diner a bit fast and had a bit of a moment. But I guess that was actually probably quite an important part of the story, really, because, well, I'll explain more as we go on. Double fault, there was also no camera there, which I made a bit of a mess of. Manny caught right back up to us on the hill I've just been up to. It was just so loose, couldn't really do much. And then, have I been up it yet? No, you see, this is, I don't even want to watch this bit back. This is terrible. Oh, Billy. Although I have seen from there that obviously my back wheel was right on a loose rock as I set off, which is the reason that my weight's gone forward so much, which at the time I actually didn't notice, but that's such a good line for Manny. Shit like that's normally what I spot and nobody else does, but done us there. He's absolutely done us. That was fucking lovely. This is when I actually really first started to notice the front brake, because I guess like on the faster sections, up hills, even like the long downhills, you've got time and you can look ahead and you know when you want to brake. But it was when I was in like these loose sections, and I like needed to brake like instantly to change direction or avoid going in a hole or whatever, I was like started making quite a few mistakes, and I first started to struggle, and I was like, oh, this is going to be quite annoying, this. But up to this point, it didn't really bother us that much. Obviously, like I said before, we weren't allowed to walk the track this year, which made it even more difficult. I kind of remembered bits of it from last year, but then they also definitely taped it. I would say it was probably the hardest route I've ever done from like a tape and track marking point of view. It pisses me off how much I look behind, because it always messes you up going forward. I wish I would stop doing that, because as you can see, I was riding quite well. I pulled a decent gap. It actually irritated us watching this back. I didn't realise. Obviously, I'll not ruin the surprise, but there was more variables that were out of my control. Well, they weren't really. They were in my control, but in fact, I'll just shut up, because that doesn't make much sense, does it? End of the first level. This was actually pretty difficult this year. I did actually, also, side note, I read through the comments of see this current position I'm in now was not making excuses, but that was 100% from brake induced. Luckily, I got out of it not too bad, because when I first went into that hole, I was thinking, oh, this could go wrong. Last year's race went wrong in a very similar position, to be honest. Last year, Michael Walkener was stuck, and I tried to overtake him by going this stupid, ridiculous line. Got stuck, wasted so much energy, and that was it. It was game over last year, but I was riding pretty injured last year, so I had no reserves. What I was about to say. I'm guessing most of you know that I dented my front pipe. You see, at this point, it's still alright. I've watched this back already, and I can't, from the live stream footage, it doesn't show you, or you can't see when I actually dent it. But at some point on this section, I would say it was. I don't think it was definitely done before the bottom, because I've seen a picture from the end of this section where my front pipe's completely flat, but from none of these you don't see where it happens. This was, oh God. I should have cut that bit out. I'd have made myself look much better, wouldn't I? I don't really know what that was. I crash again in a minute. This one, is it now? And a little shimmy over to the right here. But then I think I go for a gap here. You can't really see the front pipe. My pipe's dented by this point, and at this point I still didn't actually know my pipe was dented, to be honest, but it's a shame that we haven't actually seen the source of the impact. That was also fucking sick. Yeah, both enjoyed it. Did you like that, Paul, did you? There's no footage of this next hill. This was when I first realised I had problems. I was trying to go up this hill in second, which is a normal gear to be going up this hill in the forest. We've obviously skipped a bit now to Motorx Highway, but I'll continue with this hill. It was like I was having to clutch the bike so bad, and it was smelling so bad. Anyway, I knew Manny's also pretty good at going up this specific hill, which was annoying as at the time. But anyway, got out the top of it. My bike was pretty hot, and I was thinking, oh, no, please don't say I fucked another engine. Don't know what made it, but for some reason I just reached around and felt my front pipe, and I was just like, oh dear, that explains a lot. Like, opened it up to go down this road section, and it was just like, and I was like, oh, this is going to be fun. Knowing that this was in Motorx Highway, we still had Green Hell, George Avenue, Dynamite, and Lazy Noon. So like 4 sections, all of which are like, have got difficult hills in them. And I was really, really genuinely thinking at this point, like, oh no, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get this back to the finish line. So anyway, we're now in Motorx Highway. This bit of the hill was new for this year. And thankfully, the track builders had made a bit of a ledge for us to do this switchback on, otherwise it would have been really difficult. The first switchback, I mean. This is where Manny obviously goes for it. I don't know if I obviously, while I was talking, I'd tried that line. I kind of half tried it. I did think it was possible. Don't know whether if he hadn't seen me try it, I don't know if he would have tried it. But to be honest, at this point, I was already pretty sure I wasn't going to be able to put up much of a fight with him, just because I was also fucking pretty unsure whether I was going to make it to the finish line myself. I'd also looked at my tyre. Had I looked at my tyre by this point, or was it on the next off camber? It might have been now. At some point soon, I also looked at my tyre and thought, that's pretty worn. But in the end, when I got to the finish, the tyre wasn't actually that bad. That wasn't really any of the problems. The problem was the front pipe. Self-induced, obviously. I'm not trying to blame anyone else or say that it wasn't my fault, but it's a shame because I'd built up a pretty good lead through Dyna. Rather annoying. Anyway. And this was more or less the hill of last year, apart from we had to go way further up. It was a bit different. I think they did a very good job of the track this year, in all honesty. I think they rightly so didn't get the best reviews from last year, but they really did do a good job this year in the marking. They'd even prepared some bits, and then this was desperation. That was like one last, like, before I really do sacrifice like battling with him, I'll just have one last throw at this and see if by some miracle the bike will ghost with 0 momentum another 6 feet up this hill and round this fucking peg. But yeah, like I say, by this point I'm thinking like, oh dear, this could be a long 2 hours. That attempt was actually better than I remember. Obviously I didn't stay on line and couldn't get back onto the line, but speed wise it was better than I remember, considering I was in first gear. You see on this one, like there's no worse feeling than having your look at him struggle. There's no worse feeling than having your feet slide from underneath you like that. Like, I've got by far the best boots you can have on, and I'm still struggling like that. So God knows how everyone else feels when that happens. But yeah, I was pretty smoked at this point. Obviously, I just pushed up the last 2 hills. I just charged through Dyna for an hour, and then just pushed up the last 2 hills. Watched Manny ride off. Knew that I wasn't going to be out of first gear for any more difficult hills. I was like, it's time to have a gel and just regroup. I was pretty sure, I didn't get told how big the gap was to third, but I was like reasonably confident that we had some time to go to third. So I was like, just take it easy, don't make any mistakes, ensure you get to the finish line. And then, so it doesn't show you the exit of Motorx Highway, but that was also pretty difficult. Manny was still there when I got there, but he ended up doing it straight. I had to turn and do an extra like 2 or 3 switchbacks. Well, I had like 3 attempts, got off and walked to try and find an easier line, because I'm like, I just don't want to slide back down this river, because if you watched Green Hell in 2018, which is probably a similar time of the race to when this was. You know how wrong it can go. But anyway, I've left this in because this off camber was so difficult, and it's so nice to see Manny struggle across it. He still made a better job of it than me. I think I had to go below these trees and then cut back up, but first man grip, I think we'll call that. But nah, by this point, I hadn't given up, obviously, but I knew first was going to be a difficult task, let's say. Yeah, that's a good view of the pipe. That was obviously my little splash of water, which was a penalty. Then that wasn't a penalty, which obviously was the right decision. Anyway, it's hard because obviously, like, I got to George Avenue. George Avenue is probably the thing I was most stressed about with the front pipe, which is the long uphill opposite Carl's Dinner, which we're usually in third gear for. So from the moment I did the pipe, like, George Avenue was the thing I had in my head, thinking like, oh God, I don't know what's going to happen up here. And then I get there this year, and we've got way less of a run up than we normally have. Hence, like, this first go without even like setting myself up, I was like, oh, I'll do a little test run just to see how it's going to go. The test run definitely didn't fill us with any confidence, but I did see that I was in, if I stayed further left, it was nowhere near as shaly. I actually did start in second, and then very fast realised that it wasn't going to happen. I was actually further up than I realised. I changed down to first, but then this top bit, luckily I knew this ledge was there and we could turn in, but then this top bit I didn't even try and set off in second. I was like, just survive. Oh, it made it. And then Dynamite. I thought Dynamite would be alright, to be honest. Probably wasn't the most difficult Dynamite I've ever done. They're probably going to make it ridiculously difficult next year, now I've said that. I've got absolutely no idea where that bit of fencing's from, because I didn't have it at the top of George Avenue, and now I'm already in the start of Dynamite. I'm very confused. Anyway, I was just plodding my way up here. Do we have to watch this? Nah, I'm joking. Manny rode good. He pulled off. He was still strong. He pulled a decent gap from when he left me. Like, I think, had I not have had the pipe, I think it would have been a very close battle. Watching back, he's definitely more tired than I would have expected him to be in Dyna, and I feel like he was on the ropes a little bit. I obviously was in Motorex Highway, so I think it'd have been a pretty good battle of who can recover, set and go again. I think with there being no real difficult sections to the finish, I think it would have been a very interesting battle, to be honest. I don't think either would have been particularly stronger in any of the last sections, so it would have been interesting. Anyway, it didn't show you Lazy Noon, but Lazy Noon, I had sat with my balls on the tank in first gear and just crawled up it somehow. Still not as impressive as that 2016 Lazy Noon, I don't think. That was life-changing Lazy Noon. This was just nice to make it to the podium. I was actually so angry at this point. So I seen someone told us at the top of Dynamite that I'd been given a 10-minute penalty, and I needed to keep pushing because I wasn't much more than 10 minutes ahead of Twiston. So I'm riding all this last bit like it's a special test, like fucking hanging it out there, raging, thinking of what I'm going to say on this microphone when I get to the finish line. I'm going to think of what my Instagram caption's going to be like, because there's a lot of controversy, there's a lot of politics going on in our racing at the minute about rules, and there's a lot of controversy going on about all sorts of shit. And anyway, I'd specifically asked the night before in the riders group chat, are we allowed to take water? Because although it sounds so stupid that you even have to ask that, that's the state we're at. We're like, we need to ask absolutely everything because now it's an FIM championship and everyone's shit scared that they're going to get penalties, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, so at this point, me thinking I've got a 10-minute penalty, I was so fucking angry. I guess I pulled my finger out and got to the finish line a bit quicker. Because I was kind of dawdling knowing I was safe in second, to be honest. Penalty or not, well, that's a bit of a stupid statement, but it's still a fucking sick feeling to be riding down and knowing that you're entering to that arena to finish low. I'm so... Bill's not happy at this point. And I was a bit confused really why everyone looks so overjoyed. Carl's there with his flag. Oh, there's this twat, well done, won again. Fucking pillock. Thinking, what's going on? Fabio come and said, well done. I asked him about the penalty. He didn't even know about it. Carl had obviously heard about it. And that was that. Happy now. Roxanne got a kiss. Bill got his first Erzberg podium. Jobs are going. Quite happy with that post-race interview, to be fair. That's probably one of the best ones I've ever done. But yeah, there you have it. Erzberg 2023, over and out. A little bit shoulda, woulda, coulda, but I was happy with second, to be honest, in the circumstances. Very happy with how I'm riding, how the bike feels. Well, obviously got a bit of a bad shoulder now, but we'll worry about that for a later vlog. And yeah, thanks everyone for watching. There's been mad support on both Erzberg videos so far, and we're closing in slowly but surely on that 100,000 subscriber mark, so that's absolutely insane. I'm so grateful. Thank you all so much, and like I say, be back with some vlogs I reckon in the next couple of weeks. A couple of weeks without motorbike riding, but I'll try and find something to keep you entertained. Right, thanks for watching. See you in a bit.